And if I can, first, just
Please.
reiterate my wife's comments about the effects of this, not just on us as a family, but throughout the community. This act that happened to our son, and that happens over and over again, and not just currently, but throughout our history, is an act of terror against an entire community. And that's something that we have learned in talking to those people through the Social Justice Alliance and other conversations that we have with people, is made us aware that this happened to our son on the campus of the University of Maryland, but it impacted all the other young Black students that were there at that campus. So that meant that every time they walked out of their dorms or walked to class, they had the specter of this crime in the back of their heads, distracting them in their day-to-day activities, and from their studies and everything else. So there was a cascading effect that people don't often think about whenever something like this happens. And it shouldn't be dismissed as to the impact of it, and all too often it seems our legal system is worried about what the intent was. What they need to be more concerned about, what is the impact of this activity, of this event on the larger community? So I just wanted to reiterate that, as my wife pointed out earlier. But to get to the story of my father, it just so happens that my father, as I stated earlier, served in the Army, fought in Korea during the Korean War, and survived that war, came back to his hometown, married my mom, and a few months after they got married, he was gunned down on the streets of his hometown by a white man for no apparent reason. And the man was charged, but he never went to trial. And they basically just dismissed the case and brushed their hands up of, any type of actual justice being served in my father's murder after he was, gunned down, as I said, walking home from work, from the stories I've told. At the time, as I just stated, that he had come back from the Korean War, got discharged, married my mom. They had been married for, from what I'm told, 2 or 3 months. And he was shot dead. So my mother, at the age of 22, was pregnant and a widow with me. And I was born like 4 months after he was murdered. So there is a thread of continuing legacy of this crime repeating itself. Some white male deciding that he has the authority to take the life of a Black individual simply based on his race. And that's why we decided that we were going to be a voice and speaking out for social justice and social change, because it's necessary. And there are forces out there now that want to dismiss the validity of making arguments for social justice. However, they're usually the ones who are very much behind the actual social injustice that's taking place in our society. So it's an ongoing struggle that we have, and we recognize that. But we're here because we owe it to the legacy of our son, and as well as the legacy of my father, who, some 6 generations or 6 decades, more than 6 decades before, was murdered under similar circumstances here in his own country after serving this nation, in a war, in a foreign war. He couldn't come home and be safe in his own community.
And we know that story oh too well. And something else that I wanted to just add to what my husband stated, not only were the Black students affected, but we're talking about students on both campuses, right. University of Maryland College Park and Bowie State. The insurmountable pain that was caused to the students and as well as the faculty, because you don't know who's whom, who's feeling what they're feeling, and at any time that they can strike. So I'm going to say the entire state of Maryland was affected by this, what I call dubious individual and what he decided to do.
A murderous individual.
Well,